So this is one project leading to another. I want to mill my little angles in here that are going to grip the spindle on the tailstock. And I was thinking about how I wanted to set that up. Now ideally, like maybe by the time I get the brass stock that I'm eventually going to use to replace these, I think, I'd love to have a 3/4 inch mill. And what I would do, you know, it's roughing mill or whatever. What I would do then is I would leave this, you know, together, come in and mill that 3/4 inch round a certain distance in here, then split it, and then I think you'd have a really nice clamp. But for this aluminum, I'm just going to do a, you know, a 45 on here. So anyway, thinking about how to set that up, and realized I wished I had available this project completed that I've been thinking about for a long time, which is just to take, this is one of my dad's old drill press vices, actually the only one that I know he had, and I think he got it this beat up. I don't think he did this damage to it. And my idea was that take this out of this mechanism here, because I don't really trust this thing for holding. You know, I mean, theoretically I could clamp this down to my bed and then go for any angle I wanted, and you know, maybe later I'll rethink it and want to do that. But for right now, what I'm thinking is pop this out, since it does seem to be good and milled both sides. I'm thinking it could go into my big vise, and then I could set any angle I wanted. So that's my theory. I need to make some new jaws, clean it up and everything, and then we'll try that. Hey, Mr. Pete. Thanks for the tip. Perfect. Trying the power tap trick here. Oh, that didn't work right. Oops. Okay, I did something wrong. I think it's recoverable, but yeah, I screwed up. I don't think I had this tight enough on there. Basically, the idea was it was supposed to kind of break it as the machine was spinning down. I just about tapped the whole daggone thing. And then it turns out that this was not tight enough, and so it started spinning in there. Alright, I think we'll be okay. I'm experimenting again with power tapping, not to do the whole thing, just to start it, because this is not a spiral tap. It's not one that's designed to power all the way through. Kind of screwed up last time because I tried to do it just the way I see, like, you know, Double Boost do it, or I don't know who else I've seen do it. But anyway, basically you start the machine and get it running, and then you turn it off, and while it's winding down, then you would just kind of like drop it down in, and it would you know, come to a rest, and you'd have it started straight, and then you'd pop it off. Anyway, so what happened was I did that. I turned it off, I brought it in, and the thing just kept going, and I realized too late my variable frequency drive has a parameter that you set on it, and I set it, you know, months ago and forgot about it or whatever, but it has a ramp down, and you can make it quick or fat or slow, or I don't know what value I picked, but I picked some random value, and it's a slow ramp down is what it is. And so yeah, so it just kept on going, and it, you know, luckily no harm, no foul, nothing was, you know, it just did the job, so it was fine really. But anyway, so this time I'm starting off really slow, and so you can see when I stop, it pretty much stops. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave the power on. I got my finger on the my thumb on the stop button, and I'm just going to try to start this thing with constant pressure. And hit the stop button. Alright. And now we will see how this worked. Everything went right. Yeah, that's perfect. No, wait a second. I don't even think I didn't even get it started. Alright. So much for that. Alright. Try this again. And here we go. Oh yeah, she's going in there. And then you saw how she got tight. Yeah. Alright. I'll figure this thing out eventually. Alright, so this is where we are with this project now. And I kind of outsmarted myself in that I milled the top and the bottom here, but I left these rough because I figured, oh, I'll just come back and, you know, mill them with it in the vise. And I could always do the top too, you know, if that wasn't meeting up well. It actually is meeting up pretty darn well, so I'm not even going to worry about that. But, you know, I need to have this flush with this surface so that this whole thing can sit in my big vise, and then I can turn it however I want it. So what I should have done is made sure I had milled one of my sides. These are all either, that's the factory and that's the bandsaw cut. And if I had milled at least one side, I could have, when I was fitting these jaws in here, made sure they were dead flat and let one side protrude, and then it would be a pretty easy matter to just lay this down on the side on the mill and you know, face this off. The way it is now, I'm going to have to figure some way to support it, you know, just by machine surfaces here and here. Can't trust a movable jaw. So that just makes setup a little more complicated than it should have been. And that's one of those live and learn things. So I'll take care of that here pretty shortly. I'm wanting to make sure, I'll indicate this to see how true this all is. Looks like maybe there's something taken off down this end that does not look like the original machining, and that's kind of bothersome, so I can't touch off here. I did not have in mind milling this whole thing. I might have to do that. But I do have to touch off in order to come over here. So I was thinking if I could just touch off a little bit somewhere, then come out and then come in and take care of this, then that would suit my purposes. I guess the alternative is these don't need to be that. They're actually better off just a little shy rather than proud. If they're shy, then they don't interfere with the clamping using these surfaces. So it might be better if I just take these guys out of here, mount them up in the mill. But then they're not going to be perfectly, you know, I'll never get them, you know, dead together the way they are now. So, no, I'm just going to figure out some way to set it up like that. And get one side, and come over and get the other side. I'll figure it out. You can see now that the it's been cleaned up. It's a Craftsman. I wasn't sure what it was. So I don't know how old it is, but it is unfortunately been beat up pretty bad. I really wish some idiot had not gone and done all this drilling down into the actual meat of the vise. A lot of that was done, and it's just a shame. But yeah, is what it is. Alright, so this is my setup, and you know, I tried to do it without moving my vise, which I guess everybody tries to do. Half the time I end up having to move it anyway. But here's what we got. So I think for my purposes that's pretty good. It looks like there's a low spot in here. But you know, it's a thousandths, if anything. I'm betting when I come up here it's going to drop, because I see some marks up there where it looks like somebody belt sanded it or something. I don't know. Let's see if I can do this without messing up the camera. Alrighty, a couple thousand. And you can see it dropping way off. It was actually rising before it dropped. That was interesting. Could have to do with how the mill is trammed in itself there for that one part for the rise before it fell off. I think it's good enough for my purposes here. So I think if I touch off here and then go across, I'll be good. That's what I'll try to do. I lost my mark. There we go. I'm pretty happy with that. Now I gotta flip it over and set it up again. All right. All right, should have the clearance I need now. Yeah, just the barest kiss on the other side. Bring close here so you can see. Just all right. I think that is good. We're good for my purposes. It's not a toolmaker's vise, but hey. All right, so this is a little gut check. Got the light back there. You can see. Hang on a second. Block the light in that little area there so it doesn't. Yeah, I think this gets pretty good purchase in there. So I'll loosen it up real quick here. So the idea is that I'd be able to, set an angle, clamp it down, run a mill over the top, and I'm about to test it out. Okay, so this makes me happy. I kind of thought that, after all that milling, once I undid the jaws and tightened them back up again, that, it wouldn't really match up, or it'd be hit or miss. Actually, it's seems to be pretty repeatable coming together there. Feels pretty good. Not bad for a drill vise. So what do you think? Sketchy or good to go? I'll try it out. These are my little pieces that go with my spindle lock on my tailstock for the little Atlas 618. So I'll get set up. Just want to do a little 45 on each of them, and not very deep at all, because there isn't much there is not much of the spindle that protrudes into the little cylinder where the locking mechanism comes together. I'm going to go take another look at that, actually, so I can get an idea. Alright, be sure and duck if everything goes boom. Seem to hold together pretty well.